Alright, make sure all the levels is good. The levels is good. The levels is good. Come on. The levels is good. What a boy.
Okay. Big man, you want to hear some hot takes? Let's see how woke you are. You know something about podcasts? Yo, dígame. You kidding me or what, man? I got these three drunk uncles with a sports podcast. They say they got fire takes, pure fuego. You find them wherever you listen to podcasts at. If it's what they say it is, you like and you subscribe. Listen, like, and subscribe, yeah. You know how to call into the show? Yeah, man, do the Podbean app. You'll need headphones with a mic to call in. That's no problem, man. They'll also be at Sharky's, 8:07 p.m. on the first Wednesdays of the month. You may get some free Blue Chew. And they keep receipts, so if anything happens in the sports world, MyT's gonna drop a take faster than a rabbit gets fucked. There's only three things I have in this world. My word, my balls, and this podcast. And I don't break them for nobody. MyT Sports Season 7.
Oh shit, I think that's about my cue. Let's go and raise up these motherfucking curtains for the people. Good evening and welcome back to another edition of the MyT Sports Podcast. I am your host, the one and only Throw My Daily. It is another Fuego day in the hottest city in the world, right? It is officially June 24th. I told you we was gonna have we may have a podcast today. I told you today's podcast is gonna be real light. It's gonna be real quick. You understand? Today's a diet kind of podcast. So I hope you got all of your steps in, because this is a kind of hydrate, drink water, and get your stretch on kind of podcast, folks. You understand? This is a big body podcast. You understand? This is a capital T podcast. You understand? This is You Should Be Here With Me podcast. This you should be your daily listening to the MyT podcast. If you understand what I'm saying, and you will know what I mean podcast. Yes, folks, it is another edition of the MyT Sports Podcast, folks. It is officially hot as fuck today, folks. We have highs of 92, lows of 76. Current temperature right now is 91 degrees. And part of the reason why we have a quick podcast for you, let me slow down my rate of speech for you, because I ain't trying to rush through this motherfucker. It's because my niece has her graduation party going on today. And so I told you guys, you ain't gonna get no podcast today at 8 o'clock. But you was possibly gonna get one that early. And that was, and honestly, a big portion of that is because of what happened with the Knicks today, folks. So we're going to get into it all, folks. We're going to talk about our draft picks. We're going to talk about, actually, the draft picks are in more than anything else. We're going to talk about the New York Knicks fucking the fans, right? We're going to give you folks a Blue Chew code to end out your week. We're going to get into the brothers who got united. We're going to talk about Irvin's list. We're going to... Maybe. You understand? We still like a half an hour podcast. I don't know how the fuck I'm gonna get all this shit in. We gonna get into some Brittany Griner, Judge settles, folks. Parker makes history. Mitchell wants out. We got the birthday shout outs. We gonna talk about, man, them suits. Oh goddamn, them boys are looking crisp in them suits. This may have been my favorite year of suits, folks. We gonna get into try to get into that, all that and more right here on the MyT Sports Podcast. But you guys already know what we say, regardless of the time.
Take that.
And regardless of the weather.
But we did what we do. Welcome back to the Warriors Invitational, baby. That's what we do.
It's always a good time to talk some sports. Let's stir this motherfucker up and get started. So, let's start talking. Woo! Back at it like a sports fanatic. MyT Sports. Season 8. Oh wait, Season 7. It's like in heaven. We going 11. We talking bevels. You on my level. I take the shovel, hit you in the head. Now you sleep with the devil. I'm just saying. And folks, if you've been here before, then you know that we like to start out every single podcast with a nice little birthday party. Now, we got lucky today. I'm not skipping them. I'm not skipping the birthday party today. It just so happens to be that there were no birthdays yesterday and no birthdays today. Yeah, folks, what we like to do is that for the birthday celebration of the podcast, for the birthday celebration of the podcast, right? We like to give a birthday shout out to everybody that had a birthday. This is the last time we was on the air. The last time we was on the air was Wednesday, so this would have covered everybody's birthday from today and from yesterday and today. Keep up. But since nobody had a birthday, we got no birthday shout outs to give to, right? So what I'm gonna do is because those are only for the people that I know. So for everybody that I don't know that has a birthday on June 23rd. Wait. 6/23, I feel like I know somebody with a birthday today. No, definitely May 23rd was definitely a birthday of one of my cousins. But if you know somebody, or if there's somebody that I just don't know about, and you listen to the podcast, happens to be your birthday, either yesterday or today, right? I'm giving you guys time to roll your shit up or pack your bowl or to get yourself a little drink going on. So if you I want to wish you guys all how we do here, right? And you know what? DJ MyT. Like my boy Chill Will likes to say, because listen, we have our senior Cleveland correspondent, right, named Chill Will, and he does not like to miss a podcast to save his life, right? Or he doesn't like to be not involved in any podcast, so he always makes sure that I always make sure I give him a nice little special shout out. So like my boy Chill Will say, right, our senior Cleveland correspondent, right, Ohio correspondent, also probably my. Let's see. You know what though? We gonna see. I'm gonna make if he's gonna have Ohio. I think I'm just gonna make it. You know what? It's something we're gonna talk about over the summer. All day, every day on Broadway. All right, but folks, DJ MyT, go ahead and drop that beat. Yeah, this is how we celebrate birthdays on the MyT Sports Podcast. So while I don't have any personal birthdays to give into, right? I'm gonna still give a birthday shout out to everybody that had a birthday on June 23rd and everybody that had a birthday today on June 24th that I don't know about. So how we get into this is that I want to wish you a happy birthday, right? So I'm gonna sing your birthday song and we're gonna get right into it, right? Because for you guys, because yeah, it's your birthday. We said it's your birthday. Because it's your birthday, we sing happy birthday. Back from the top, ready? Because yeah, it's your birthday, we said it's your birthday. It's your birthday, it's your birthday, it's your birthday, it's your birthday. Because it's your birthday, we sing happy birthday. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday. So again, it's a birthday shout out to everybody that had a birthday on June 23rd and June 24th. We want to wish you a happy birthday. Hope you party hard, enjoy everything, regret nothing, but more importantly, you get your weekend at Bernie's on and you continue to stay. T? Check it, yeah. Sorry, I'm on Instagram. Like doing a live show with fucking filters on and shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm gangster, boss. Right? But yo, DJ MyT, go ahead and cut that beat. Cause we got a quick show today, right? We have a nice little quick short show today. And granted, right? And if you guys are listening, right, and you're catching this for the first time, normally we give you guys about a 2 to 3 hour podcast. I know that's a lot of talking and a lot of listening, but it's well worth it. Like I heard me in the beginning of the podcast, it's always a good motherfucking time to join. You know what I mean? To talk some sports. So normally you guys get about a nice little 2 to 3 hour podcast. Not today. It's my niece's graduation party. She graduated high school. Of course, Theo Chocolate's got to be there in full effect. So I'm coming through trying to do what I do. If you know what I do, you know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure there's a single tear in the you know what I mean? There's a single tier in the crowd that I have not met yet that I can walk up to her and be like,
But we did what we do. Welcome back to the Warriors Invitational, baby. That's what we do.
You know what I'm saying? Hit her with that bing bong. Oh Oh man. So let's go ahead and get right directly into the podcast, right? Right, our first topic of the day, if you guys have been here before, you may actually know about the first topic of the day. Because our first topic of the day is our MyT topic of the day. And what this is when we find a topic that supersedes all topics that you may generally want to talk about, and we make sure that we give this topic a little bit of a spotlight on them. You understand? We put all the spotlights on them, all those headlights. We shine them shit on them, and we give them their praises. Let's go ahead and get into our MyT topic of the day. And if you know who this involves, then I think you already know where I'm going with this.
Hey, ladies.
Still need to shorten that. I thought I had the right one. Hey ladies, how you doing? Right, if you guys got your lady with you, right? You got a lady beside you, whatever you have with your significant other. I want you to text them. I want you to look at them. I want you to be like, hey, just ask them, how you doing? How you doing? Because you automatically are afforded more of a privilege than what is currently being constituted to one Brittany Griner. If you do not know, Brittany Griner happens to be one of the most decorated female basketball players in NBA history. If you want to talk about who you may want to compare, that's why she balled the fuck out. My bad. As I'm talking about Brittany Griner, I'm also watching the Chicago Sky take on the LA Spark. We gonna talk about what happened in this game in just a little bit. Cause RESPECT, tell me what it means to me. RESPECT, it's my house and I live here. It's me, Casa, your Vivaki. Goddamn right, Vivian. Right, but as we talk about Candace Parker, shout out to her again. Make it to All-Star team, and we're gonna tie this back in just a second. Right, but Brittany Griner is one of the most influential women in women's basketball. One of the most influential centers in women's basketball. One of the other influential centers in women's basketball. You just heard me mention her name, right? Because her and Brittany Griner are in a very rare category together, right? And what that is that her and Brittany Griner are two of the three women in history to dunk a ball during the game. Yes, Candace Parker and Brittany Griner. But let's get back to Brittany Griner, right? Brittany Griner, I like to compare her in equivalent to what most people may recognize more as a Kevin Garnett kind of individual, especially when you bring her accolades into the mix. And when you bring her accolades in the mix, she actually surpasses a Kevin Garnett just a little bit, because she has been everything to everywhere to everyone, or she's been everything everywhere to everyone everywhere that she's gone. Not only is Brittany Griner a champion, she is now an 8-time All-Star, as she was also voted to this year's All-Star game as well as an honorary All-Star game. Oh, I'm sorry, I have not fully let you know what's going on, but let me first let you know about who this woman is. She is an 8-time All-Star, 2-time scoring champion, 8-time block leader, 2-time peak performer, 3-time NBA first team, 3-time NBA second team, 2-time defensive player of the year, 3-time defensive first team, 4-time defensive second team, all rookie team. Should have won that Rookie of the Year, but instead, right? NCAA champion, most outstanding player of the year, AP player of the year, 3-time Big 12 player of the year, 4-time defensive player of the year, high school player of the year. Like I said, Shorty's been balling since she's been in high school. Not only has she been balling, she's been in high school. She has been one of the leaders in the LGBTQ community. And she is now currently being wrongfully detained in Russia on trumped-up weed charges, as Russia tries to leverage her to try to free up one of their illegal arms dealers. So what I ask from you, if you can, right, if you can keep her in your thoughts and prayers, or whatever entity that you utilize for for hope and, you know what I mean, for hope, positivity, and change. Let's keep in those thoughts and prayers, please. Because at this point in time, that's really what most of us can do. The ones that are rooting for her to get a speedy recovery home. Like I said, the government has made some loose attempts, but there's not really much you can do. And I understand that she may be a high-profile American, right? But there's not really much that she can do. Like, she's famous, but she's not important. You know what I mean? In a weird-ass way. And you know how the government feels about negotiating with terrorists, period. So I don't see them, unfortunately, I don't see them exchanging her for the individual that they want back. When I say that she's not important, I mean that she isn't generally who will be considered possibly a government or a high profile target, government individual with secrets, somebody that has given blood, sweat, and tears for their country. Individuals with secret and top secret clearances and above, right? It's one of those things. That's the only thing that's the only reason why I think that she's not returned home as of yet. This is because she may not be high profile enough within the government's hierarchy for them to exchange something of real value for her. They just want her free. But we'll continue to see what happens. We'll continue to monitor it. This is officially day 125 of Brittany Griner being wrongfully detained on trumped up weed charges. And it's crazy too, because I told you, she's one of the only 3 women in NBA history to ever dunk a ball during a game. Another person I'm watching right now, Candace Parker, as her and her Chicago Sky, her and her championship Chicago Sky take on the LA Spark, and they're whooping that ass. Part of the reasons I wanted to watch this game, if you're familiar with the podcast, I always like to keep a game on in the background. I don't have any live games on. I didn't go to see what baseball games is on right now. I'm on a time crunch. But there's a particular reason why I wanted to watch this game is because Candace Parker absolutely balls out in this game, right? She ends up recording. What's going on, Pimpin'? She ends up recording what is now her 3rd triple-double, which also makes her the all-time triple-double leader in WNBA history. She put up a game where she had 10 points, 14 rebounds, and 10 assists. And you can see it early. She was in this game. She is in a very, I don't want to say she's kind of passive in a way, right? In this game, she starts off very passive, and she's making a lot of passes and getting her teammates involved. But not for nothing, they are beating the brakes off of the Los Angeles Sparks. Right now, we're coming down to halftime, and the game is 51-25 Chicago. And I have an idea now why not only is this game a blowout, but also why Candace Parker puts up her 3rd triple-double in her career. I also think she put up 2 this season, if I'm not mistaken. So this season alone, her 2nd year playing for her home team, after being traded to her home team last year and winning a championship with them there for her 1st year, she goes ahead and she doubles her all-time triple-double record so far. Or numbers so far. And not for nothing. It could also be the change in her role. And when I say the change in her role, meaning some of the change in her ability. While Candace Parker is still very much so a double-double machine, you see the increased, drastic even, drop off of her scoring average, right? At one point in time, you're talking about somebody that was leading the league in scoring. You see it now that she's no longer the person that's going to put up 20 points a game, right? You see that. But what's starting to happen? Well, 20 points and 10 rebounds a game. But what you are starting to see, she's always gonna be a rebounder, right? She's always gonna know how to box out and position herself. Always gonna be one of the badass rebounders. She's gonna take pride in that. Jump shot maker, everything else, help defender. See there? Rebound. But also what she's doing now, she's also becoming a passer. And not for nothing. You talk about somebody that was averaging 20 points per game, but now she starts averaging 8 assists a game. That's 16 more points. She wasn't averaging 26 points per game before. I'm just saying if she averages 10 and 8. So this new Candace Parker that we're seeing now, that's starting to get more triple doubles. This is probably something that she probably always could have done, right? Something that was always there in the DNA, but was focused. But since she was always the key person on the team and always that center spot, her mentality was probably always shoot first, pass second, rebound first, take it up, and that person that she dishes it out to, maybe they're not scoring off of that outlet. So I can get why she hasn't had many so far, but yeah, here we go. This year she has 2. And honestly, I won't be surprised if Candace Parker finishes, or not even finishes. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Candace Parker finishes this season with 6 triple doubles total for her career, meaning that she gets total of 5 triple doubles this season. I will not be surprised. Her role has changed. Her role has completely changed, and you're starting to see the passer come out in her. But also, I'm not gonna sit here and act like she don't have extra motivation for going against her former team. Like, that's it too. Like, not only is she playing her former team, but with her new team, the very first year she goes there, she wins a championship. So they are the champions going against her former team. And now she's playing in front of her home crowd. At home, that is, in Chicago. Granted, the crowd in LA still likes her until she's busting your ass, 56-25. I love watching games on re-air. It makes things so fucking peaceful. I just realized that I breezed through halftime a while ago. And don't forget to listen to the MyT Sports Podcast. You can catch us just about everywhere. I'm pretty sure you guys are listening to us on one of these major platforms, folks. You can catch us streaming on Facebook. You can catch the video there. You can catch us streaming on Twitter and on Twitter Spaces as well. You can catch a behind the scenes camera on Instagram. I think I got the fish face up right now. You can catch us on YouTube as well. If you want to call into the podcast, we do have a call-in line, but the only thing that you need to do is download the Podbean app. On the Podbean app, where not only are we live there, but that is the way for you to call in and join the podcast. That is actually remotely how we get in our other co-hosts, all the other drunk uncles and drunk aunties of the podcast, but also all guests and all callers. Straight to the Podbean app. So if you ever want to get into the MyT Sports Podcast. And if you look right down there, you see that Linktree link? Right? If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, and Twitch as well. You see that little Linktree link? And also the link is in all my bios. Follow that Linktree link. On that Linktree link, you'll see a link to the Podbean. Go ahead and grab it there. And that way you too can be a part of the MyT Sports Podcast. We're not going to be here for long. I told you, we're here for a good time, not a long time. So one again, as we wrap up our female segment of the podcast, right? One again, remember to keep,
Hey lady,
right? Keep Brittany Griner in your thoughts and prayers. But also when it comes to Candace Parker, like that lovely piece of fucking caramel chocolate. Big up. All right, let's give her a nice little big up as she continues to ball out at having her team with a record before this game of 11-5. So they wouldn't improve to 12-5. As I'm seeing little random white people fishing in the backyard. What the hell is going on here?
can I get a oh yeah?
For Candace Parker, that is. I didn't want you guys to misconstrue what that was made for. But I'm telling you, we're not gonna stay here long. I'm gonna tell you something that what has been misconstrued, and I'm gonna tell you this number one reason why I'm actually here, and that is to talk about last night's draft. I just had to get Brittany Griner out the way. I always have to get Brittany Griner out of the way. But I have to talk about last night's draft. Without last night's draft, I am not here right now talking to you guys. You understand? I'm already at the party. I'm already drinking. I'm already socializing. I'm already dancing. If there's dance music, I'm already having fun. But I had to get this out for you and all you Knicks fans. So it's not a sound that the New York Knicks were familiar with yesterday. Because the New York Knicks came into last night's draft with the 11th pick in the 2022 draft, and they left that motherfucker with a pick in the 2025 draft and 2 picks in the 2023 draft and no picks in the first round. As Oklahoma City grabbed their pick and gave them 3 picks, and one of them they had just acquired that night. Honestly, I was shocked. I was completely shocked because my first thought was that I thought they were swapping picks. I'm over here thinking to myself like, oh, the Knicks have done their research. They realize that the guy that they still want, they can get at the next pick, so they can go ahead and swap picks with somebody. And maybe they do this and keep accumulating a few other things. I know when they came into this draft, they said this draft wasn't really one of those talent-rich drafts, right? But that's what they say about every draft. But and normally you find about 5 to 7 guys that you can usually keep. And you wonder, oh my God, this team, and then next thing they'll be like, man, you see, this person went 18th and the Knicks passed on this guy. And then this guy went 23rd and the Knicks passed on this guy. I hate that that's about to happen because it's been happening all week. Oh, look at all the people the Knicks passed on. They passed on this guy. They passed on that guy. And this guy went on 56 and he passed on them. Well, listen, if somebody goes at 56, the Knicks aren't the only motherfuckers to pass on him. I'm sorry, I'm in my feels right now. I apologize. I didn't mean to yell at you. That's coconut water, by the way. I needed to refresh myself, but I also wanted some electrolytes and all that natural goodness that coconut water gives you. Is that Ngumakwe? She looks so much different with her hair pulled all the way back like that. No wonder it was so hard for me to recognize her when she finally sat behind the booth. Yeah, sorry ladies. Yeah, with your hair peeled all the way back like that, when you play your sports, yeah. Some of you do transform when you finally let that hair out and fucking twist up a couple of fucking edges and shit. You know what's funny? The twisting of the edges used to be just for baby hair, if I'm not mistaken, right? But now motherfuckers be getting fucking... They be taking that, like the regular hair that come down to their belly button, right? And they be peeling that shit out just to make some fucking nice little twisty fucking design with some of the, edges. I swear. Shit done changed. Back in the day, it was just the side. That man used to cook when we not the better side. So back to this draft. This draft starts off with a shake-up already, right? I told you guys we was going to come through here. We was going to go through about the first 15 and 14 picks. We was going to go through the lottery of the draft. Don't know if I'm going to get through the whole entire lottery of the draft. I'm already at my limit. But this draft started off with a shake-up, with a nice little shake-up, which for the most part of the month, for the most part of the week, for the most part of the draft time that matters, right? Most people thought that Jabari Smith was going to go number 1. Remember, I told you I thought Chet was going to go number 1 because I didn't think that Chet was. I didn't think Jabari was going ahead of Chet. Like, honestly, you heard me talk about it. Like, when me and Chet was like, he was like, man, you ain't even watch. I'm like, okay. I still don't think that I still think that Chet. If you're talking about Jabari going number 1, then I think that Chet should go number 1. I think Chet be drafted ahead of Jabari. And that's exactly what the fuck just happened. At the very last minute, all of a sudden we're hearing it with about 5 minutes to go back before the draft. We're seeing Vegas change their odds. We're hearing everything has just changed. Wojnarowski is coming out that he's hearing serious talk that things may be shook up. And no doubt that's exactly what happened, folks. It was not Jabari Smith out of Auburn with the number 1 pick, folks. No, folks, with the number 1 pick of the NBA draft, the Orlando Magic pick Paolo Banchero, who is like, kind of like Melo in a sense. Now, who went in the top three, that did not change. These three guys, the three individuals that you thought was going to go in the top three was going in the top three. The guys that you thought was going to go in the top five went in the top five. The guys that you thought was going to go in the top six went in the top six. The guys, you know what I mean? Like, for the most part, even depending on where you looked at, the guys that you thought for the most part was going to go in the top seven went in the top eight, went in the top nine, and went in the top 9, 10, went in the top 10. It wasn't really until like the 11th pick, where the Knicks were at, that you started wondering like, whoa, this guy wasn't even on the fucking charts. Remember, the Knicks didn't keep that pick. So, but the first shakeup was the fact that Banchero ends up going to number 1 to Orlando. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, okay. So at least that portion of what I may have been hearing and what started coming out wasn't completely false. Chet Holmgren was a bona fide number 2 across all boards. Now, Jabari Smith will end up being drafted number 3 to Houston. And it was when Jabari Smith went to Houston, I started thinking to myself, I wonder... Actually, I started thinking this after the Chet Holmgren draft. I wonder if Sacramento knew about some kind of change-up or shake-up coming at the top of this draft, and maybe they're waiting to see what happens before they make their draft pick. Because also, remember we talked about, like, it was weird that everybody's trying to trade with Sacramento because they think that Jaden Ivey that they may draft Jaden Ivey because he's the next best player on the board. But the next best player on the board happens to be a place that they have been saturated with over the years and has done nothing for them. And they've already identified who's going to be their point guard of the future in De'Aaron Fox. So that made us think, okay, that even from our end, that maybe if they were unwilling to trade the pick, maybe they're willing to trade De'Aaron Fox and give this team up to Jaden Ivey. Well, boy, were we wrong. We realized why Sacramento was not getting off of that pick. Because honestly, the only team they would have traded with probably would have only have been Detroit. That's it. Detroit is probably the only team they would have traded with. So that means that you would have had to try to find a trade package, and not for nothing. That's what you do, right? That's what you at least try to do. About the next, like, hey, you get up to the Detroit spot, and then when you get up to the Detroit spot, see if you can get up to the Sacramento spot and see what happens and see what it takes there. Probably didn't have enough assets to pull that off, but you'll have enough assets to try to pull that off next year. Man, the Knicks was so frustrated. The Knicks was so frustrated in this draft. Because right there at Chet Holmgren, I'm thinking, okay, you know what? Maybe Jaden Ivey can fall to us. And then the 4th pick of the draft pops up. Right? And with the number 4 pick, where the 2 sites that I decided to reference. And one of these sites ain't going to be referenced next year. I'm sorry. They had way too many wrong in the top 15. Way too many. Actually, I'll tell you, it was Bleacher Report. Bleacher Report had way too many wrong. So I don't think that Bleacher Report is going to get my... No, sorry. I'm lying. Not Bleacher Report. DraftNet. DraftNet.com or whatever. Yeah, they had way too many wrong. So I don't think I'll be utilizing them next year. Bleacher Report was more accurate. So I end up using Bleacher Report and somebody else next year and see how they turn. Or I may do DraftNet, Bleacher Report, and a third to see, and I'll give Draft.net a double elimination chance. Like, if both of those sites end up being more accurate than them next year, let's see if I can remember this, right? But if both draft sites end up being more accurate than them after next year as well, then I can't fuck with them anymore. See, so with the number 4 pick, where everybody thought Jaden Ivey was gonna go number 4, nope. The Sacramento Kings picked the small forward / power forward out of Iowa, Keegan Murray. So again, I'm like, okay. Jaden Ivey is falling. And I wonder how many calls the Detroit suddenly started getting as it flooded in, as Jaden Ivey literally fell right to them. Now, I'm telling you, there was a couple of names I was really looking forward to and hoping that the Knicks may be able to acquire. And every single last one of those names end up being taken off the board. And not only were some of them being taken off the board, some of them were even taken by rivals. Dang, motherfucking rivals. So the first one to go off the board is Jaden Ivey, right? Then Benedict Mathurin, right? He was the consensus number 7 pick. Everybody thought that, and that came out true. Then Portland, they grabbed Shaedon Sharpe. And hold on, where's my paper? And then comes, there we go. And then comes one of the other guys I was looking out for, which was Dyson Daniels. Right, he's another name that popped up on my radar. I was curious to see if he would fall. That didn't happen. Right, he ends up being drafted right here by New Orleans. Jeremy Sokin, he ends up being drafted by San Antonio, the number 9th pick right after that. Johnny Davis, somebody else that we were looking at as a Knicks fan, hope if he were to drop, that is, was also Johnny Davis, right, out of Wisconsin. Nope, Johnny Davis didn't end up falling. He ended up being grabbed by Washington right in the pick right before that. So now here comes the New York Knicks, right, with the number 11th pick. And with the number 11th pick, they draft, who was that at college? They draft Ousmane Dieng. But not before we end up finding out that Ousmane Dieng out of New Zealand is being traded over, is being sent to Oklahoma City. The New York Knicks have agreed to a trade that was, and they didn't know, for future draft picks. That's what they first said. Future draft picks. Then you come to find out it's 3 future draft picks. So this is the maddening part. You're like, damn, Knicks. Okay, you traded out of the spot. Now, I expected to hear about the Knicks being getting the draft spot right after that, because Oklahoma City was on the board right after that, and they grabbed Jalen Williams, and I'm like, okay, what the fuck is going on here? Well, you have to remember, guys, the New York Knicks were looking at a guy, or it was as I talk about the 11th pick, and talking about Ousmane Dieng going to Oklahoma City. Well, the New York Knicks was projected to draft a guy named AJ Green, who was a small forward out of Duke that they thought could really help the Knicks out, especially when it comes to scoring, right? Because he's a good scorer, and the Knicks could really add some scoring onto their. I'm coming, don't worry. The Knicks could add some scoring onto their team. Well, they don't draft that individual. They move out of the pick. It isn't a swap for Oklahoma City. At first, that's my cue. At first, you hear that all they're doing is getting all they're getting is three future first round picks. Which kind of eased the blow a little bit, because then you can be like, okay, I see what you're doing here, right? Because all of the good teams, and this is the point I had to calm Knicks fans down about, all of the good teams of the past that are in decent places now, right? Some of them, not all of them, right? But some of them, this is exactly what they did and how they started off, right? And I'm gonna particularly look at Boston, for instance. You have to remember, it was accumulating picks and getting picks that got them Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum and able to build that core that just went to an NBA championship. Let's not forget, it's through the draft that Miami builds their core as well. When you talk about the kind of franchise that you want to be, all of these guys are built through their franchise. San Antonio Spurs, Golden State Warriors, Miami Heat, Boston Celtics, all built, right? But the Knicks, they move out of the spot, and they didn't swap spots, and this completely blew my mind, because it took me about 3 picks later for me to realize, yo, Knicks, you're not gonna have a pick in the first round at all? At all. I was like, man, this is gonna be a tough one to swallow. I don't know, cause already, not for nothing, Knicks fans, I know that you out here blowing your stack, and you're here doing the over exaggeration game, and I feel you, and I knew today was gonna be a day of that, and I'm still saying, you know what? There's still a bigger picture there. Trust me, I knew this was gonna be a hard move to swallow. I haven't fully paused. I haven't fully accepted it. But we have to kind of see where things are going. Now the suit game that came out this year, I really enjoyed. I ain't gonna lie. And part of the reason why I enjoyed a lot of those suits were things that I would wear as a ring announcer to a wrestling event. Oh man, I really, really enjoyed a lot of those suits. Now, let's get back into this real quick, right? Because I'm gonna tell you the part that kind of like pissed me off. I'm gonna tell you the part that kind of really upset me. The guy that the New York Knicks were supposed to draft, supposedly, AJ Griffin. Well, AJ Griffin goes at pick number 16 to the Atlanta Hawks. And I'm telling you right now, if AJ Griffin becomes a problem, if he is a baller, if he does his thug thizzle in Atlanta, and we have to now see this motherfucker along with Trash Young, I am going to lose my cool that they drafted out of this fucking pick to get 3 future first round picks that I end up finding out that all of them are so fucking protected that none of them equate to a top 10 pick. Or none of them will equate to a top 10 pick. These motherfuckers is so goddamn protected, you would have thought they just won presidency of the goddamn United States. So I don't get it. But there are things in there that I do get, right? There are a few things that I do get.
Yo, you thought Trae Young was still good? Yo, you thought Trae Young was still good?
What's going on here?
Yo, you thought Trae Young was still good, right?
There we go. Much better. Much better. Much better. Right, so one of the things I can see, right, as you start looking at it, they found a way to dump Kemba Walker's contract, which is one of the things Knicks fans have wanted them to do. And dumping Kemba Walker's contract got you 3 first-round picks. Okay, you moved out of this draft. Okay, I get it. But one of the things that happened, you dumped Kemba Walker's contract. They found a way to do that. Kemba Walker's gonna get himself bought out. Now, what you've also done, though, right? And Knicks fans, you have to constantly look at it. Remember, this is year 3. I know Knicks fans, you're thinking about it in the long haul. Oh my God, it has been since 1999. Since the New York, it has been since 1980. It has been since 1971. We don't got shit to do with 1971. These kids playing right now ain't got shit to do with 1999. These people playing right now ain't got nothing to do with the Melo era. This is their era. This is their right now. And in their right now, this has been a process that has only started 3 years ago. And in the 3rd year, they're still making good moves to position themselves for a better future. One of the things the New York Knicks haven't had over the years has been draft picks to draft young talent. What do we have an overabundance of? Draft picks to draft young talent. What's also something the New York Knicks haven't had? Oh, draft picks to possibly entice another team to trade for additional talent. Well, what do they have? They have draft picks to try to entice a team to try to trade for additional talent. And are you talking about where, in a sense, you don't have to hopefully gut your whole team to try to bring over somebody talented? You understand? That doesn't have to happen anymore. Maybe they have to give up 2 guys. Maybe they have to give up 1 veteran, 1 young guy, and maybe 2 of these picks that they just acquired. If it's the right veteran, right? You don't mind, because there's at least 2, 3 more veterans on this team that we're trying to get rid of. A couple of them we can stomach. 2 of them we can't. If they get rid of the right veteran, maybe have to give up 1 young talent in a draft pick. They understand you're trying to constantly find bargaining chips, while still not handicapping and throwing away your future. And I want to say, as far as when it comes to picks, ultimately draft picks, and having the ability to acquire young talent, and maybe even possibly use some of these picks to acquire, what's the word I'm looking for? More known talent, right? More consistent talent. You have that too. So I know Knicks fans right now, you're blowing your cool. I haven't heard Stephen A. Smith because I don't want to hear that motherfucker. I listened to him over the weekend. You guys got my first initial reaction. I haven't listened to anybody. You know what I'm trying to say. I haven't watched any of these television programs. But let's wait and see. Like, honestly, because you can't sit here and not tell me, Knicks fans, that at bare minimum, you're still not intrigued. At bare minimum, you can't tell me that you are not kind of anxious to see what the fuck are they gonna do with all these goddamn picks with the moves that they've been doing. I'm intrigued. I'm not disappointed. I'm a little upset because I'm confused. But I'm also intrigued. I'm confused because they didn't do the conventional thing. But I'm also intrigued now. Let's see how good this front office is going to plan on being. Let's see if we start talking about them like how we talk about some of these other franchises that accumulate talent and then accumulate draft picks and accumulate talent and then find ways to flip guys into better talent. Because they realized they fucked up last year. And they also realized, as a GM, I can't do shit. There's only so much I can do to please my head coach. These veteran guys that he was liking, they ain't gonna cut it. Like, Kemba Walker was nice for the locker room, but you have enough veteran guys. Like, you can't, to be honest with you, you can't allow Tom Thibodeau more than 3 veteran guys on his squad. That's it. 3 veteran guys. And we already know that 2 spots are reserved for Derrick Rose and 1 for, I'm forgetting, Taj Gibson. Like, one of them needs to become an assistant coach already to free up another spot. If he's still hell bent on keeping Alex Burke and Nelson Noels, or Evan Fournier and Nelson Noels, but he's not allowed to have more than 3 veterans on his team. Anything more than that, his love for experienced players, thinking that, oh, these experienced players are going to give me the best chance to win, is going to supersede what you guys are trying to do, because that's his natural instinct. Folks, I want to thank you guys for listening to the MyT Sports Podcast. I think I have given you more than enough of a podcast today. We will be back, folks. We will be back Monday, regular time, 8:07 p.m. And we'll dive more into this draft. We'll talk about the second half of the first round of the draft and see if there was anybody else in that second round that we may have liked as well. I ended up watching the whole entire draft that night. Was up way too late. The New York Knicks end up picking up another dookie in the second round. We'll get into all that and more next time on the MyT Sports Podcast. I just want to thank you guys for listening. I hope you guys continue to catch a wave that never subsides. So shout out to the boy Toby and Wigway for that one. But also continue to transform yourself into the kind of person that you want to work from you. That's words from your boy MyT. But also, hey yo, DJ MyT, can you drop that beat or drop the outro so I can stop rambling?
Sorry, B. I tried.
But did you though?
Honest.
Okay.
All the bandwidth in the world couldn't keep me contained. No lag, no lag. Gonna share my talents with Podbean Live. Always knew I'd take the pod there. Just a lot later than a lot of listeners thought. Last of the real gabbers. Well, maybe not the last. Munchkin got good mic skills. New, improved MyT
camera out my face.
Podcaster. Potted down now. Last call for drinks. Bars closing. Sun's out. Heard the casino got a buffet breakfast. Don't want to go far. Wild night. Tired, B. Tired. MyT
Sports. I didn't push it to the website, of course.